Hey guys, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Mark Daniels Jr. I'm back out here on the lake, and today we're going to talk about Ross Barnett, the fourth stop of the Bassmaster Elite Series over in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I had a decent event. I finished in 39th place. I should have did a lot better, but hey, you got to keep those fish pinned up if you want to beat these boys. These guys are the best in the world. But let's talk about the lake, how it's set up. You know, I had an opportunity to go check out Ross Barnett about a month ago before it went off limits. And immediately I was attracted to the lake because it's a shallow fishery, tons of stumps, tons of grass, lily pads, power fishing. Really set up to be my strengths. That's what I really like to do is power fish, big rods, braided line, etc. And so I was kind of excited to get over on the pond and start fishing. But when I got there for the first day of practice, immediately you got a dose of reality of how small this lake really is. It's only 30,000 acres, and you put 110 guys out there running around, it gets small quick. And so immediately you didn't have areas to yourself. You started sharing water, and the first day of the tournament, it was no different. I kind of got in a rotation, as we call it. And, this was an event where if you got in a bad rotation, if you rolled into one of your areas after 2 or 3 guys had just recently hit it, you would obviously do bad. You wouldn't catch any fish. And that happened to me a few times. And so I kind of had to bounce around and fish a bunch of different areas. I chose to target the north end of the lake, above the bridge. A lot of people refer to that as upriver. I was fishing a few different areas. Clearwater was one of them, right there in front of Tommy's, which is a very popular boat ramp. A lot of big events go out of there. A lot of fish get released there. So it's one of the reasons why it's a very popular area. And then a little bit up above that, Cane Creek and Horseshoe. Again, shallow, staying water, lots of grass. Frog fishing came into play in a major way. The majority of the fish that I weighed in this week came on a frog. And I was throwing 2 different types of frogs. In the more thick situations, thick lily pads, reeds, gator grass, etc. I opted for, this is a snag proof, and this is a fat frog. All white, the color's called the Man, and it's just one of the go-to colors that I use whenever I'm frog fishing. I generally try to keep it simplistic, black, white, and a brown frog for the most part. The white was really key this week because there was a shad spawn going on. And anytime there's a shad spawn going on, obviously all of your baits, whether it's a crankbait, swim jig, jerk bait, you name it, the whites really tend to shine, especially the first couple hours of the morning. In the more sparse stuff, I opted for a popping frog. Basic color on this, green and white, popping frog. Caught a lot of fish on that one as well. My setup for the frog. This is a 7'1" heavy action Kistler Argon. Very light. It's not an overpowering heavy action rod. Has some tip to it, which is very important when you're walking the frog. That whole walk the dog technique. Very, very key. And that's the setup on both frogs. 7'1" heavy action Kistler Argon. Something else that played really key for me this week was a follow-up bait. Anytime you fish in topwater, whether it's frog fishing, zero spooks, etc., I always like to have something that I can reach and grab really quick, some sort of soft plastic as a chase bait or a follow-up bait. And I found that to be imperative this week over on Ross Barnett, because they would come up on that frog, boom, they would blow up on it, and your first reaction is to reel in real quick, throw that frog back in there, and try to get that fish to bite again. But they did not want to strike it again for whatever reason. I found when I threw back in there, I couldn't get bit. So immediately I reached and grabbed this setup right here, and this is a 7'3" heavy action Kistler KLX. I got a Cabela's Arachnid Reel 20-pound fluorocarbon Seagar, and this little bad baby right here, that's a Missile Baits Crawfather. Once I realized that they would bite this, every time I got a blow up, I didn't even try to throw it back in there. I immediately power pulled down to maintain my position, reeled my line in, and I would make a quick flip over there with this Crawfather. The color is Super Bug, and I got that rigged on just a 3/8 ounce tungsten. Nothing special. Pitched that right back in on that fish where he blew up, and a lot of the times I caught that fish, and that was really key for me because I put a few key fish in the boat late in the day, real late in the day doing that. So they would show themselves a lot of times with the frog, not commit. I would flip right back in there with the Crawfather and boom, catch that fish. A few other baits that I used this week that caught a couple of fish, couple key fish, but it wasn't the mainstay. But a chatterbait played. Again, shallow staying water, grass type fisheries, power fishing is always gonna play, and the chatterbait is always gonna be in the mix. And this is the new jackhammer from Z-Man. I got a Lake Fork Magic Shad trailer, bluegill pattern. The fish are really keyed in on shad in the morning, and I felt like bluegills in the afternoon. And so I opted for the bluegill pattern on the chatterbait. My setup for this, again, is a Kistler Argon. This is the crankbait series. It's a 7'2" medium heavy action. And I have a 6.3-to-1 gear ratio Cabela's Arachnid reel. I don't like to throw this on too high speed because you find yourself getting in a rush and you overfish the bait. So the 6.3-to-1 helps me slow down just enough to where I can keep that bait in a strike zone long enough to get that bite. And then last but not least, I did catch a couple of fish swimming the jig. This is the same setup that I had over on Toledo Bend. That kind of saved the day. And it's just a white swim jig with your kicking leg style trailer on the back right there. Very simple, very basic, but again, white in color, hence shad spawn. And I caught a couple fish on this that also helped me out. 7.3 Kistler Helium 3 here. 6.3-to-1 again on the reel. Cabela's Arachnid. But on the swim jig, I'm throwing braided line. When I throw in those thick pads and I get bit way back in there, I really like the braid to help me out to get that fish out. This is 50-pound Seaguar Smackdown braid, and I caught a couple key fish on that as well. So as you can see, I only have 5 setups on the deck while I was out there running around. I kept it relatively simplistic. The frog was really the go-to, but at the end of the day, each one of these rods came into play and helped me out. You guys take it easy. I'm Mark Daniels Jr. I'll see you guys on the water. Again, if you guys want to see future videos, drop me a message in the comment section and I'll try to get them out to you guys. You guys take it easy.